What if I told you that on an ordinary night at a crowded restaurant, 5 dangerous men walked in with only one mission: take down a wealthy CEO sitting at a corner table, and that the only thing standing between them and their target wasn't bodyguards, wasn't security, but a quiet, tired single father who simply wanted to finish his meal in peace? What if I told you that man wasn't just any father, but a veteran carrying scars no one could see, skills he had promised himself he'd never use again? Stay with me, because the moment those men made their move, the entire restaurant froze, and this single dad's hidden past erupted into a story that no one there would ever forget. Ethan Cole didn't look like much to the outside world. His hair was a little too unkempt, his jacket a little too worn. He had the tired eyes of a man who had been fighting battles most people couldn't imagine. Except his battles weren't just in deserts overseas, but at home, raising his little daughter, Lily, all by himself. Tonight was supposed to be special. After weeks of juggling 2 part-time jobs and late-night school pickups, Ethan finally saved enough to take Lily to her favorite restaurant, the kind with bright lights, warm bread baskets, and ice cream sundaes that made her giggle with delight. He sat across from her, watching her chatter about school, her ponytail bouncing, her little hands waving as she spoke. For Ethan, these moments were gold. He never said it out loud, but sometimes he feared Lily was the only reason he still got out of bed. She was his anchor, his whole reason for breathing. But across the room, another man was drawing attention. Dressed in a sharp suit, with 2 assistants at his side, sat Victor Harrington, the Millionaire CEO known for his ruthless empire. Some admired him, many despised him. But money attracts both envy and danger, and tonight danger had found him. Ethan noticed them first. 5 men, slipping in through the door, their eyes scanning the room, not for food, not for seats, but for a target. Veterans like Ethan never stopped reading body language, even in civilian life, instincts didn't fade. These weren't customers. They moved like predators, their formation too intentional. Ethan's hand tightened on his fork. His heart quickened. He told himself it wasn't his business. He wasn't that man anymore. His duty was to Lily, to keep her safe, not to jump into wars that weren't his. But when the men split apart, circling closer to the CEO's table, Ethan's gut told him this wasn't just intimidation. Something violent was about to explode. And then it did. One man pulled a blade, another blocked the entrance. The restaurant screamed alive with chaos, people ducking under tables, waiters scattering, glasses shattering to the floor. Victor's bodyguards were caught off guard, too slow, too clumsy for trained attackers. The CEO's eyes widened as he realized what was happening. And that was when Ethan stood up. No one saw it coming. Not even Lily, who clutched her spoon, eyes wide with fear. One moment Ethan was just another dad in a worn jacket, the next, he moved with the precision of a soldier who had survived things most men couldn't. A single step, a sudden grip, a swift motion, within seconds he disarmed the first man, twisting the knife from his hand and sending him crashing into a table. The sound of wood splintering echoed through the restaurant. People gasped. Was this man a cop? A bodyguard? No, he was something else entirely. The attackers regrouped, shocked but not deterred. And Ethan, for the first time in years, felt his old self return, the part he had buried, the warrior, the protector. But this time, it wasn't about a country or a uniform. This time, it was about his daughter watching him, and about innocent lives that would be lost if he did nothing. The second man lunged, a heavy fist aimed at Ethan's jaw. But Ethan slipped sideways, his movements fluid, honed by years of combat. He caught the man's arm midair, yanked it down, and with a single calculated strike, knocked him out cold. The crowd gasped again. Someone whispered, "Who is this guy?" But Ethan didn't hear. His mind wasn't in that restaurant anymore. It was back in dusty alleys of war zones, where he learned how to read opponents in fractions of a second, how to end a fight before it truly began. The third attacker tried to rush him from behind, but Ethan pivoted, using the man's momentum against him, sending him flying into an overturned chair. By now, the last 2 attackers realized this wasn't the simple hit job they expected. They weren't up against a businessman's guards. They were facing a ghost from wars they didn't even know existed. One pulled a gun. The restaurant froze again. Mothers covered their children. The Millionaire CEO ducked under the table. Lily whimpered, and Ethan's heart nearly broke at the sound. But that fear ignited him. Faster than anyone's eyes could follow, Ethan grabbed a heavy ceramic plate from the table beside him and hurled it. It struck the gunman's wrist, making him cry out and drop the weapon. In 2 strides Ethan was there, slamming him against the wall, pinning him down until he stopped struggling. The 5th and final man backed away, eyes wide, fear replacing arrogance. For a moment, it was silent except for the ragged breathing of everyone inside. And then Ethan said, voice steady but low. Walk away. Or I won't let you walk at all. The men fled. Just like that, it was over. The restaurant erupted into whispers and applause, though some were too shaken to move. The CEO slowly emerged, shaken but alive. He stared at Ethan with disbelief. Who are you? He asked. But Ethan didn't answer. He turned instead to Lily, kneeling down to her level, his hands trembling as he held her shoulders. Are you okay, sweetheart? He asked, voice breaking. She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. Daddy, you saved everyone. For the first time in years, Ethan felt something shift inside him. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He wasn't just a tired single dad trying to make it to the next paycheck. Tonight reminded him of something he had forgotten. He still had purpose. He still had strength. And maybe, just maybe, he could build a life that wasn't just about enduring, but about truly living. Later, as the police arrived and questions swirled, Ethan slipped out quietly with Lily, not waiting for recognition or thanks. But word of what happened would spread, about the quiet men with hidden skills who stood up when it mattered most. And the lesson that lingered wasn't just about courage or strength. It was about love, the kind that makes an ordinary man rise in extraordinary moments. Because sometimes the greatest heroes don't wear uniforms anymore. They sit across from their children, holding on to hope, until life gives them no choice but to rise again. In life, battles aren't always fought on distant fields. Sometimes they're fought in the silence of responsibility, in the struggles of single parenthood, in the choice to stand up when no one else will. And sometimes, the strongest warriors are the ones who fight, not for glory, but for love.